This week on Christian Worldnews.
We believe that Christ is worthy of the worship of South Sudan.
With a war raging all around, one family fights to bring their nation together under God.
Plus, scientists decipher the charred remains of an ancient Jewish scroll and make an amazing discovery.
And people doing good works and broken lives beautifully restored. We'll tell you all about a new initiative to spread a message of faith, hope, and love.
여러분 안녕하십니까? 크리스천 월드뉴스입니다. 남수단은 5년 전에 세워진 개발도상국인데요. 이후 인종 간 충돌로 5만 명이 사망하고 200만 명의 난민이 발생하며 우려를 낳았습니다. 불안정한 상황이 계속되고 있는 남수단에서 죽음을 무릅쓰고 피폐해진 남수단의 재건을 돕는 한 미국인 가정이 있다고 합니다. 함께 만나보시죠.
William Levy was 18 years old when radical Muslim soldiers confronted him about his faith.
I was asked to relinquish my Christianity and become a Muslim, take guns and fight and come and ravage villages like this. I say, no way. Muhammad did not die for me, Jesus did.
He was thrown in prison and tortured, yet never lost hope.
Because I knew God was with me.
Just as refugees flee the Middle East today, Levy too left his homeland in 1985, finding asylum and a new life in America. But his escape from the clutches of jihad was only the beginning of an odyssey that eventually brought him, his American wife and children back to his war-torn nation.
On our wedding day, she read a script. She said, your people will be my people. Where you go, I will go. And where you die, I'll die.
That was 14 years ago. Since then, is this an adventure?
Actually, we're right in the middle of basically a bush.
Those are poisonous?
Oh, yes, that's deadly.
Oh, scorpion. Coming.
I think I saw a baby one in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Where?
In your bathroom.
What? Here's the big one.
I think I'm going to lose weight on this trip, for sure.
We're very, very grateful to the Lord for enabling us to build a home here, to have a permanent presence here.
If public gets out of this, we're going to all die.
It is definitely on the edge of a jungle. We feel like we're always pushing back the jungle.
With his 6 children in hand,
even right now, like we're in the middle of a war.
6,500 miles from America,
This place is a fertile and developing nation that has only been around for 5 years.
the Levy's home away from home is a parcel of land in a remote village of South Sudan.
Why do you come here?
I come here to help my parents.
Okay. And why do your parents come here?
Because they come here to help people that are sick.
In between homeschooling and raising their children, the Levys run Operation Nehemiah, a Christian organization helping South Sudan rebuild from the ashes of war.
We believe that Christ is worthy of the worship of South Sudan.
One of the first things they did when they moved here was to start a church.
Mind you, there wasn't a soul in at least a 5-10 mile radius. In fact, this entire area was literally the bush. But all these years later, more than 10,000 folks have moved into the community, many of them hearing the gospel for the very first time.
Levy's eldest brother pastors the church.
Before the congregation was established, there was a lot of hatred and fighting between ethnic tribes. People didn't know about God or the importance of forgiving one another.
Operation Nehemiah also runs a brick-making factory, agricultural development initiatives, and other numerous projects, all in an effort to rebuild the local economy and empower war-weary residents.
And as the Bible says, if you don't work, you can eat. So people are beginning to create sustainable living for themselves.
Levy's goal, rebuild South Sudan, one family and one village at a time. But he needed fellow countrymen who escaped the war like he did many years ago to come back and help. Timothy and his family were among the scores who responded. After years of living in exile, he returned. He leads a team of 20 men who build homes in the village. But more than work, he wants these men to have a personal encounter with Christ.
The freedom the people of the Republic of South Sudan have, it is a worldly freedom. And the freedom right now we need is the spiritual freedom, the freedom that comes from Christ.
Operation Nehemiah provides clean water to tens of thousands of villagers. They also run a medical clinic. And in 2003, they started the first ever radio station in the area, reaching listeners with Christian music and messages of reconciliation.
To give you a sense of the magnitude of challenges facing the Levy family, you just have to take a ride down this road. Actually, it's not even a road, it's a dirt pathway. 5 miles back in that direction is the headquarters of Operation Nehemiah. In this direction is the Levy house. They have literally built their home in the middle of the bush.
And getting there involves a bone-jarring ride to a small house at the foot of a mountain range. In between school, chores, Bible studies, and church activities, the Levys also cultivate 200 acres of land, growing all kinds of fruits and vegetables. They view the farm as a prototype that will provide families a long-term solution to the country's food insecurities.
For 30 years, our people stay in refugee camps, and they depend on hands out from the UN. Now God has given us a land and a country. We want to see to it that we are able to produce food from here and be able to give back to those who have given us when we are in our own difficult time.
Levy admits the news coming out of South Sudan is bleak. Parts of the country are facing famine conditions. More than 1 million people have fled to neighboring countries, and the ongoing violence threatens to tear apart this young nation. Still, the Levys won't give up.
South Sudan is not a lost cause. There is great opportunity here for the gospel to go forward and influence culture.
And then that will translate into a strong church. When we have a strong church, and then the community around will be strong, and that translates into a strong country.
고고학자들이 최첨단 기술의 도움을 받아 고대 성경 두루마리의 비밀을 풀었다고 합니다. 오늘날 히브리 성경의 증거가 되는 구절들이라고 하네요.
The charred remains of the scroll were found in En-Gedi, Israel, near the Dead Sea back in 1970. They sat in a storeroom for decades, too brittle to open. Well, now researchers say that a new digital scanning technology allowed them to read the scroll, including 8 verses. Check this out, 8 verses from the book of Leviticus. Dr. Corney Becker, Dean of the School of Divinity at Regent University, explains what the scientists found and why it is so important.
The oldest version that we had of Leviticus actually went back to the 8th century, and this puts us back to possibly the 1st century, definitely the 2nd century. And what's extraordinary about us is that this indeed affirms the veracity, the truthfulness, the trustworthiness of the biblical record that we have.
고고학자들이 이처럼 놀라운 발견을 할 수 있었던 데는 첨단 기술이 중요한 역할을 했는데요. 과거의 신비를 풀 수 있는 기술, 과연 어떤 것일까요? 과학자들을 만나 설명을 들어보겠습니다.
These black charcoal-looking remains may seem like trash, but they contain hidden verses from the Bible.
When we reached the debris where we were looking for artifacts from the Holy Ark, we worked very carefully with paintbrushes and so on.
Archaeologist Dr. Sefi Parath found the scroll while digging in a synagogue.
We found something harder than the soft earth, and a long, thick cigar was observed for us.
Archaeologists found the fragment in 1970 in En-Gedi, and it took 45 years for a unique combination of technologies to decipher it, called micro-CT scanning and virtual unwrapping.
The actual instrument that was used to scan the scroll is at the Bar-Ilan University and is used for nanotechnology in order to do brain imaging and other imaging that is used for brain research.
Even with this technology, David Merkel and his team couldn't read the writing.
We had to pass over those images to the University of Kentucky, to Brent Seals of the Department of Computer Science there, and they were able to do virtual unwrapping of the scroll. It's actually kind of opening it up, and then they saw the writing within the scroll.
The significance of this find is that it is a Bible from 1,500 years ago.
Panina Shore heads the Dead Sea Scrolls project of the Israel Antiquities Authority. She says it's the first copy of the Bible found between the 2,000-year-old Dead Sea Scrolls and the 10th century A.D. Aleppo Codex.
And as such, it is very, very important because now we have it right in the middle. And to compare, this version of the Bible with, on the one hand, the material from Second Temple times and the Aleppo Codex, which serves, as the sample to copy from.
So far, they've been able to read the first 8 verses of Leviticus, which talks about sacrifices to God.
What's most exciting is that we're using the best possible technologies to help us decipher or work on antiquities, on the oldest material possible.
And this is just the beginning.
Well, there's also the possibility to apply the same technology to many hundreds of other artifacts that are lying in the vaults of the Israeli Antiquity Authority without anyone knowing what they might contain. Kind of a 21st century can opener, right?
Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
얼마 전 미 국무부는 시리아와 이라크에서의 기독교인 박해를 기독교인 학살로 정의했는데요. 이를 통해 고통 가운데 있는 기독교인들에게 도움의 손길들이 이어질 거라고 예상했지만 현실은 그렇지 않았습니다.
New Jersey Congressman Chris Smith has introduced bipartisan legislation that would provide relief to victims of genocide in Iraq and Syria and hold accountable those responsible. Advocates are surprised legislation is even needed to pressure Congress and the president to protect whole communities facing annihilation.
In the midst of this genocide, saving Christian and other communities that face extinction in Iraq and Syria is part of your mission. There is nothing unconstitutional, illegal, unethical, or unprofessional about prioritizing their need to survival as communities. They are innocent victims of a genocide. If these victimed communities are not receiving aid, you are not fulfilling your mission.
얼마 전 필리핀 남부에서는 테러 공격이 발생했는데요. 필리핀 정부는 미군의 철수를 요청한 반면 미국은 이슬람 세력에 맞서기 위해 미군이 필요하다는 입장입니다. 한편 테러 공격의 한 희생자는 테러 공격을 이기는 데 필요한 것은 오직 하나님의 도움뿐이라고 고백했다고 합니다.
Just days after Philippine President Duterte pledged an all-out war against terrorism, Islamic militants bombed his hometown city of Davao.
People were having their massage in this area when the bomb exploded here on that fateful night. And one of those grieving over the death of 15 innocent victims is Christian church worker Dennis Larida, who lost his wife and their only son in the blast.
Larida recounts instead of going to sleep, he, his wife Melanie, and their 12-year-old son Josh went to the night market for a massage. What would have been a lovely time of family bonding turned into tragedy.
I cannot explain the pain that I feel. It's very painful. But I'm not questioning God. I know it is His will for my wife and son to be in the glory of the Lord. I thank God for the strength that He is giving me.
After the incident, President Duterte immediately sent soldiers and police to secure the southern conflict areas. The blast occurred amid an ongoing peace process with Muslim militants in southern Philippines. In a controversial statement, Duterte ordered U.S. troops to leave Mindanao. He says the American presence could jeopardize the peace negotiations. Many Muslims of this area, known as Moros, blame Americans for a massacre that occurred here in the early 1900s. National Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana disagrees. He says the Americans are needed to help defeat Islamic terrorism.
I think we requested them to stay behind there to manage to provide us with the ISR, ISR intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance.
The Filipino military says it will safeguard the people from terrorism, regardless of whether the Americans leave or stay.
We don't have the sophisticated gadgets and armaments, but what is important is the person behind those gadgets. It is our mandate to protect the Filipino people, and our soldiers are willing to pay that ultimate sacrifice, giving up their life for the safety of everyone and for others to live.
It might help somehow to put a stop to these rebel groups and have a common understanding that we are from here, we will build our place better for us to enjoy. Not all the things that we want to solve for ourselves can be solved with the presence of the U.S. troops here. We can prove ourselves that we will do it in our own way by God's help.
Meanwhile, families of innocent victims try their best to rise above their difficult circumstances. Lerida has now discovered God's purpose and is moving on with his life.
I will terribly miss my family, but I also thank God. Because of what happened, I am able to spread the gospel throughout the world because of our testimony. If I meet the people who did this to my family, I will share the gospel to them because who knows? They will be saved. The death of my wife and son are not in vain. Someday, we will see each other in heaven.
Lucille Talusan, CBN News, Davao, Philippines.
요즘 TV 뉴스 얼마나 보시나요? 스마트폰, 태블릿, 컴퓨터로 뉴스를 접하는 이들이 갈수록 많아지고 있는 추세인데요. 특히 20, 30대 젊은 세대들의 경우 TV를 통한 뉴스 시청은 하지 않는 것으로 나타났습니다. 이에 방송사들도 저마다 새로운 미디어 전략을 고민하고 있는데요. 교회도 예외는 아닌 것 같습니다. 이런 현상을 분석해봤습니다. 함께 보시죠.
Millennials see life and look for meaning through a variety of platforms. That includes how they find news. Call it a shift in perspective. FaithWire's goal is to reach young people where they are and show them what God is doing in the world.
This generation is revolutionizing the way stories are told, how the world thinks and acts. And FaithWire plans to be there, not only funneling information, but encouraging a shared experience.
From smartphones to tablets, people's stories are everywhere. FaithWire will showcase examples of small beginnings, triumphs, and hope, told by a diverse team of contributors, including former Miss America, Kirsten Hagland.
Hey guys, I'm Kirsten, and I'm so excited to be starting to record my podcast. It's going to be called the Sonder Podcast. It's going to be on faithwire.com coming up September 21st. So make sure you click and listen, and I'll be excited to chat with you. So talk to you soon.
Another story, God in Gotham, takes viewers to New York City for an untold phenomenon of spiritual growth and rebirth in the Big Apple.
There is a movement happening, and it's happening the last place that you'd expect. An insane amount of people, young people, millennials, are flocking to church here in New York City.
Famed church planner and pastor Tim Keller says the number of gospel-teaching churches here has nearly doubled in just 5 years.
Church for me used to be a place where I felt like I always had to be perfect. And C3 allows me to embrace my imperfections and know that God still loves me regardless. So it's changed my image about church because I know I can still be a human with flaws and still be loved by God, which is not an idea I had before.
All part of FaithWire's mission to spread light and give a generation that refuses to be boxed in a way out.
오늘 준비한 소식은 여기까지입니다. 저는 다음 주에 다시 찾아오겠습니다. 시청해주신 여러분 고맙습니다.